Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to demeaning time travel reviews. I'm time travel reviews, and this is Nintendogen64 right here.
Hello, let me just. There I am. Hello.
Yes. Yeah, don't hold the camera like you're actually filming. Like, yeah, whatever. Okay, hold the camera whatever you like. Okay. Anyway, so this is Rise of the Guardians, and this is DreamWorks' new film.
Kids film. Let's just say kids film.
Well, kids film.
Just to set the premise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you remember back to their last film, Madagascar 3, that was, I think, their worst film I've ever seen of them.
I haven't seen Madagascar 3, so...
absolutely terrible.
So I don't
Probably
know.
one of the worst movies I've seen this year. So, yeah, I wasn't going into this thinking... I didn't know what I was thinking going into this. I was just kind of like, oh...
No, it's been a very underhyped movie, I think.
But DreamWorks have been the kind of thing where they even when they produce something really bad, they can come back with something really good, like...
And do you think they did it this time?
No, not particularly.
No,
I think it was much better than Madagascar 3, I can say that.
Yeah,
but even this movie isn't even to the quality of Puss in Boots, last year's Puss in Boots, in my opinion.
What do you think? Do you reckon Brave was better than this?
That's a good question. I think that they were about equal par.
Okay, yeah.
I think when I did my review of Brave, for some reason I felt inclined to give it a higher score than I actually really thought of it.
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed at all with Brave. And I wasn't impressed that much with this or with Puss in Boots.
No, if you're gonna see this movie, I'll just say you're gonna see it for the nice 3D, because this movie I thought had a lot of good 3D in it.
It's got a good ranking on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got 75%, which is good.
Yeah.
And I still have faith in DreamWorks because I remember thinking after I saw Puss in Boots last year and thinking of the recent DreamWorks stuff, I thought, DreamWorks have kind of just gone the crappers down.
Well, I mean, at least they're not doing what they did in the 90s where they copied off Disney.
Well,
at least they've moved on from that.
I still liked it. I liked it when they did that.
You think? Okay, well,
yeah, but
I think Shark Tale.
I really liked Kung Fu Panda 2. So
I liked Kung Fu Panda as well.
Kung Fu Panda 2.
I haven't seen
the original Kung Fu Panda I thought was average, but I really liked the sequel.
Okay.
I recommend it. Go watch that. It's probably my 10th favorite movie I've watched this year. But this movie was average. Like, they definitely tried. Okay, now the premise about this movie, it's basically an Avengers style of a whole lot of, what we call them?
I'd call it holiday symbols, maybe.
Holiday symbols.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Sandman's not a holiday symbol.
It's got Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny, Sandman for some reason, and Jack Frost.
Now,
okay, hold on. What's up with them always putting Jack Frost? Like, has Jack Frost suddenly had a huge resurgence lately or something?
Okay, there was a bit. Okay, I'm not going to spoil anything, even though this probably it's a kids movie, whatever. It's predictable, whatever you want to call it. And it is predictable.
Yeah.
But I don't want to spoil anything, but...
No.
Right at the end of the movie, there was like this bit that reminded me of the Santa Claus 3.
Kind of.
When, I don't know, I should have pointed it out to you so that, whatever.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But this movie, it actually... I felt that with the premise they had, they took the most predictable route possible.
This is an incredibly predictable movie. They set stuff up that you can see coming from a mile away.
And I mean, okay,
maybe to a kid it's not that predictable.
So
but
the bad guy, right? He wants to turn dreams into nightmares. I'm sure I've heard that somewhere before.
Probably.
That just rings so many bells in my head. I can't think what though. And he wants to make everyone stop believing in the Guardians and stuff like that. My question is, right? Why don't the Guardians just appear on national television then?
I know. There's so many times in this movie where apparently the Guardians can be seen, and they're just standing right there out in the open in the middle of the street. And nobody seems to to care. Oh look, there's Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy.
So without saying too much, this obviously isn't set in the reality that we have now. Without saying too much,
it's set with a bunch of idiot parents who seem to think that on the
Easter egg hunts, don't put any eggs out because the Easter Bunny will
basically it's like a bunch of parents who are
that's all we'll say about that.
Lazy and just leave stuff off to these fairy tale creatures.
So this is obviously isn't set in our world.
No,
but that's fine. That's fine.
I know that, but I guess
the logic of this doesn't make too much sense. There's some kind of I don't know if this was intentional or not. How they have there's kind of some religious kind of
overtones
to this, but it's But the logic is stupid. Like, okay, so the Guardians, right? They're everyone's stopping believing in them. Like the plot of Elf, basically. And so they want to, make people believe in them.
And guess. Have had 2 guesses what happens if people stop believing in them.
Yeah.
Oh, have 2 guesses. Yeah.
He grows from people's fear. I've heard that before too. That's like
it's like
cliches.
It's like Spider-Man 2.
Cliches in this movie.
It's like Spider-Man 2. So there's Peter Parker falls out of love and he can't use his powers.
This movie is cliched.
Up the
arse, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Like, they just got... I mean, this is a good premise. It is.
It's not a bad premise.
An Avengers of all, like, the fairy... whatever it's called. But they took it in the most cliche and predictable way possible.
They did it so much better in that one episode of Fairly Odd Parents, I thought.
I think DreamWorks does this a lot, I think. With Kung Fu Panda, the first one, I thought that everything in that movie was just... They took it in such a predictable route that I didn't care for it. But then when they did a sequel, they actually took it in a route that you wouldn't like. They took it in a different one. It's the same with like a lot of sequels like Back to the Future. Like they took it in a different route to like even the Back to the Future one's still good. But I mean, I think that if they made a sequel to this, it'd be better. But for this one, they took it. They took the premise and they just did it. Some bad guy who turns dreams into nightmares and.
Oh, and to put the cherry on the shit pudding, he's voiced by Jude Law, who I have this passionate hatred for Jude Law.
I like Jude Law.
He just annoys the hell out of me.
I like Jude Law.
Apparently Alec Baldwin was in this as well. I couldn't actually tell until I saw the credits.
Who was he again?
He was North / Santa Claus.
Yeah, I couldn't tell that.
No, my opinion on this movie was it was not the worst children's movie. I mean, if kids watch this, at least I guess it confirms their belief in holiday symbols. But I thought it was a lot like getting a kid, right, or getting a cat and dangling something shiny in front of their face.
I said this to Angus earlier, but that's what Ice Age 4 and Madagascar 3 was.
There was no substance to this movie.
It was a lot. There was some subtlety to it. There was some subtlety, but not. There wasn't as much as there could have been.
It wasn't.
I was surprised that the jokes. A lot, there wasn't too many misses. There wasn't too many jokes. You're like, ugh. No. The jokes were all kind of like, yeah, right.
Yeah, but the way I see it is this plot isn't gonna be breaking any new ground for plots. It's such a boring, predictable plot.
Yeah.
That if a kid goes to see
do this all the time, DreamWorks, like Monsters vs. Aliens, they just took the most predictable route possible.
Yeah, I know, but if a kid's gonna watch this movie, they're watching it for the pretty colors and the 3D. The plot is such a rehash plot.
Kids will love this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of kids in the audience.
And I won't feel ashamed. I won't feel ashamed if kids like this because it is not a bad movie.
It's not say something like.
It's entertaining. It looks really nice.
It's really good. Yeah. We saw this in 3D there. There's my 3D glasses.
Yeah, the 3D was alright.
It was a bit gimmicky. I thought there were a lot of gimmicks in it.
It's not like a requirement, but I think no, I'd say go see this in 3D.
Yeah. It would be really dull if you saw it in 3D.
I think that was one of the reasons I didn't like Madagascar 3 so much because I didn't watch it in 3D, let alone the cinema.
Yeah. The problem with the 3D, it does get a bit shaky during the action scenes. I don't know if you noticed.
I didn't really notice.
It gets a bit blurry, and maybe it was just
the action scenes were all really good. I just had no tension because
there's
no logic.
Yeah, there's for some reason in this movie they confront this villain several times, and he escapes all the time, and they just have this very fast-paced action scenes where they're fighting these things called nightmares. Have a guess what animal they are, and they do this 3 or 4 times in the movie, and it's I don't know.
I still felt a bit more tension or excitement than I did with Ice Age 4 and Madagascar 3, but nothing really that. I was actually, I was kind of happy. Great for that matter.
The main characters, they actually did give some kind of personality to them. I like that. My favorite character was probably the Easter Bunny.
Yeah, they're all good. I think
they're all good.
Their own character.
The Tooth Fairy kind of grained on me. The joke of the
they had to have a woman in there. So.
Yeah, the Tooth Fairy kind of joke dies early on in the piece. I really did like the Sandman as well, but my question is, do people really believe in the Sandman?
Yeah,
right? I was thinking
here's what I also don't get about the movie, right? Okay, so now, there's go away. Okay, there's all these dots on this world map, right? And they go out, when people. But is it when they stop believing in all of the Guardians, or only when they believe in like one of the Guardians? And there only seem to be like 10,000 of those on the
there's not many people. Apparently, there's not many children.
No, there's not many children in the world.
And in this reality, they don't have a Tasmania in this world apparently, because every time they show this map of Australia on the globe, which is all the time for some reason, they seem to really like Australia. They don't have Tasmania.
I don't get it because there's like this point, right, where like the Tooth Fairy, stops like. There's like the bad guy takes over and everyone's tooth is left there. They're not replaced with a coin or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
So the kids, they stop believing in the Tooth Fairy. Yeah, we get it. But does that also mean that they stop believing in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny?
Yeah. How did they stop believing in Santa Claus?
It's like kind of like Tooth Fairy, whatever. But Santa Claus, he's still.
But I mean, think about it. Christmas never actually came in this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
There was no point in this movie where it was Christmas Day.
All of the Guardians that they don't believe in, or is it just like? And then would it be better if they really minimize the amount of Guardians they had? If And it means that, if they... Okay, so...
And, also, another thing, no one believed in Jack Frost from the start, but he wasn't completely weak.
But apparently, he wasn't fully a Guardian yet, because remember at the end of the movie, they, initiated...
So,
I know what you're saying, though.
So by being a Guardian is,
It's a liability to actually be a Guardian.
I would hate to be a Guardian. By being a Guardian, it means, if people stop believing in you, you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly. And
basically.
And it only needs one of them to... only one of them to stop believing in, and then they...
Oh yeah. If some Guardians slack, then you're screwed.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the logic is flawed, and also the moon character. There's meant to be this moon that creates all the Guardians, and okay, so there's definitely some religious things you can think about here, but why? I mean, this moon created this this. What's his name? The Boogie Monster.
The Boogeyman.
Boogeyman, also known as
Pitch Black. I didn't get this. For some reason, he's called the Boogeyman, but everyone calls him Pitch Black. Yeah.
So the moon, he created these. So can't the moon take these away?
Why is the moon? I don't get this moon thing anyway.
Someone. Okay, so I mean, I think they tried to avoid this because they didn't want it to make it too religious kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was inevitable. Shouldn't there be some kind of argument between someone and the moon saying, moon, what you created this guy? Why don't you get rid of it?
No one questions the moon.
Yeah, nobody questions the whole thing. Have just the scene where they all get angry at the moon.
Jack Frost kind of gets angry at the moon,
yeah,
but that's because
one scene. That's all.
He doesn't even get that mad at it.
He's just kind of moon, moon, moon. Why did you make me? And blah, 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 blah. And I didn't get that memory thing with the two.
Oh yeah. Apparently
takes memories.
That's kind of sadistic, isn't it?
So wait, but she keeps them, right? So what's the point? If you're never going to get the memories back, does she go and deliver the teeth back and memories or what?
Yeah, the Tooth Fairy, she has this collection depot for everyone's teeth, right? And for some reason, every time you lose a tooth, you lose the memory of your childhood or something. And so to get that back, you need the teeth. But the teeth get captured, right? But I don't see what the difference is if the teeth are captured. And she has the teeth. People still don't get the teeth back because they don't actually know that the Tooth Fairy exists.
Yeah, so Rise of the Guardians, it's a sentimental, Christmassy kids movie.
Oh, it's not even a Christmassy movie.
It has snow and stuff.
It has Santa in it, but that's about it.
Whatever, it's meant to be set in April too, which is weird. You thought that it was coming out at the end of the year. That was set.
Yeah. And it's weird because the Easter Bunny's Australian. Yet he says Easter's in spring, but in Australia Easter's in autumn.
It's autumn, yeah, and. I mean, the characters, they undergo changes that just suddenly just appear and.
Oh yeah. For some reason, the Tooth Fairy, when people stop believing in her, she loses feathers, right? But then that never happens again.
I thought that was alright. Yeah.
But that never happens again. I would have thought it would be.
And
cool.
I liked it how Santa he just kind of started walking with his walking stick and.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Apparently Santa's powers. He carries two swords around.
I know you don't like Elf, but I would recommend Elf over this movie.
Oh yeah, me too. I would prefer Elf.
It's just a bit I mean, this movie's alright for if you go see it with your kids, go ahead. It's entertaining enough. It's just kind of meh, and it's done much better. Yeah,
it's very generic, very cliched.
It's just cliche.
Very predictable.
I mean, it's not unfunny. It's not annoying like Madagascar 3.
No, it doesn't annoy. It didn't annoy me. It just bored me. I found myself actually bored during it.
I wasn't bored. I found it was entertaining. I just thought it was just kind of.
Basically, it's just. The way I see it is it's a bunch of set pieces intertwined with a loose kind of unpredictable story, basically. That's what it is. there's a ton of like scenes in this movie where they just have fight scenes and
there's no
fight
twists
scenes.
or anything in this movie.
There's no twists, and everything's predictable. And then you knew, like, there's this part where like he heard someone calling him, and you knew he was going to wind up going to the villain's lair and getting, you know, it's just everything in this movie is predictable. Would you recommend it to? I would recommend this only to young children.
Okay, I would recommend this to kids, and if your kids want to go see this,
yeah,
like, sure, go ahead. Like, yeah, it's and you'll get entertained. You won't feel bored. I don't think you'll feel bored.
No, I don't think.
I think you'll feel that was all right.
At least the 3D is really good.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty darn impressive. Like better than some other movies in 3D.
So I mean, it's definitely a great alternative compared to, as I said, Madagascar 3 and I Stage 4.
Yeah,
it's an alternative. Instead of renting those DVDs, go watch this instead. Like,
yeah, what would you give this out of 10?
I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
6. I'll probably give it about 6 as well. I pretty much agree with you on most points about this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about it.
And Skyfall, much better.
Yeah, I preferred Skyfall a lot over this. At least Skyfall was unexpected.
I feel like I want to give Skyfall a higher rating after seeing this movie. I feel like giving Skyfall a 7.5 out of 10.
You gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, 7.5, yeah, Skyfall.
I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think Skyfall was much better than this.
Brave, I'm going to downgrade that to 5.5 out of 10. So I was going to do that at the end of the year anyway, but I'll say it right now for Brave.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is better than Brave.
It's not a terrible kids movie.
Brave was as predictable, but it wasn't as interesting.
Yeah, this movie's not a terrible kids movie. It's just a very run of the mill, very middle of the road kind of movie.
Yeah, it's entertaining.
It's entertaining enough, and it's nice to look at, and it doesn't feel too long, and it's a pretty short movie anyway, as it is. It barely gets to the 90-minute mark.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's about all for us.
Thanks, and see you later.
Yep. Goodbye.